Good morning, everyone. We have a small, select little audience. Oh, I'm told I have to stand up here so they can see me on the screen. So there's only a few of you in here, so we're going to make it quite intimate, right, rather than having hundreds of people. How many people currently use ServiceNow or know ServiceNow? Any of you current users of ServiceNow? 1, 2, 3. The rest of you don't know who we are at all, okay? All right, great. So I'm going to do 3 things for you today. I'm going to explain to you how we see the AI technology coming out and rolling forward and how it's changed already in the last 2 years, and what we do with clients today, how we're helping a lot of the tier 1 and tier 2 banks all over the world, and what we're doing in the future and where we're going with this technology, okay? So I'm going to talk about how we serve customers and how we help you manage regulations, because you have some of the most complicated regulations in the world, and we help many of the tier 1 banks keep their C-suite out of jail with the technologies we have. We will talk about stuff that's in the future, because I'm going to show you some kind of visionary stuff as well. So make sure whatever you buy is based off of what's actually available and not what we talk about in theory. So first thing, for those, who put their hands up and said they use ServiceNow? There was somebody over in the corner there. Yeah, most of our customers, and we have thousands and thousands of customers in the world, know us as an IT ticketing tool. I spend my time with CIOs and CTOs and COOs and CFOs, all that group in most of our customers, and they say, oh yeah, it's great, it's a ticketing tool. It really does beautifully what we need it to do. However, ServiceNow isn't actually a ticketing tool. What it is a data platform with a workflow engine that happens to be really good at managing policies. And that's how we became known as a ticketing tool. Many of our big customers use us way outside of where people traditionally see we operate. So it's not just in IT and HR, which is where we have very strong presence, but many of our advanced customers are using us way beyond that to manage all kinds of parts of their business. So let me just show you a very short 90-second video of some of the things that we get up to. There we go.
Traditional banks are seeking next-generation customer experiences that can compete against the offerings of Fintechs, neobanks, and challenger banks. The problem is, most banks have a legacy of fragmented architectures, leading to siloed data, teams, and technologies. This slows response times and complicates banking services, leaving customers with subpar experiences that can negatively impact retention, ultimately threatening the bank's growth and profitability. With ServiceNow, your bank can intelligently orchestrate and automate work across new or existing processes and technologies, whether it's quickly onboarding a new customer, providing convenient loan, card, payment, or deposit services, or effectively managing a customer's fraud case. And with strategic integrations, alliances, and solutions like ServiceNow Disputes Management built with Visa, your bank can drive fast dispute resolutions while reducing the cost to serve. Over 1,500 financial institutions of all sizes across the globe drive business value with ServiceNow. Be the bank that delivers frictionless, personalized experiences. Learn how ServiceNow can transform your bank's customer experience and drive value in months, not years.
So that kind of summed up a little bit about what we do for many of our clients. It's not just about how we help organizations manage their process within IT and within HR, but it's actually going right the way through from the back, the front, and the middle office. Now, all of you are sitting in this room. We're all at this conference for one reason, right? Those 2 initials, AI. Everybody's got super excited about AI. But what's really happened is that people have started to understand the impact of AI. Who's been involved with artificial intelligence in some form for the last 5+ years, right? Most of us, thank you, most of us have been doing this for a while. This isn't brand new. The only thing that's brand new is we suddenly had a consumer experience that the executives in the boardroom suddenly realized the potential of what was actually available to them. And that's what's changed here. Now, we know, working with people like Deloitte and with most of our partners and Accenture and others, the impact on financial services is going to be enormous, right? how a bank operates across all of its functions, retail, capital bank, wholesale markets, whatever you're doing, whether you're in insurance, whether you're an underwriter, whether you're doing the binding process, whatever it is going to change dramatically in the next few years. And this highlights kind of high, low, and medium impact that we see that this technology is going to have on different areas of the bank. So, it's going to change everything. The challenge you've got is how on earth do I get there safely and securely and quickly? And that's what we are helping customers understand. We just did a survey with 4,500 customers, people we identified as really proactively doing and using this technology with Oxford Economics, and we managed to find some really interesting trends. As you can see on this spidergram here, a lot of these companies are developing their strategy. The most advanced ones have a very good strategy, well defined. Most of these organizations, most of you are hiring talent. There's not a lot out there that really understand this to the level we need to, but anybody with AI on their CV is currently in very high demand. But the most advanced people are really pushing the boundaries on this talent. You also see this thing workflows, and what we really mean by that is the most advanced banks and most advanced financial organizations aren't just thinking about the obvious things to do, they're being pretty advanced, pretty sophisticated in the implications of this technology for other areas of the bank. Okay, and I'll come into that in a moment. But the two things that are really lagging in our experience, number one, the investments haven't quite followed because everybody got excited, but we're being very cautious with our budgets. What we see is people not necessarily creating new budgets, but reprovisioning existing budgets. So we're being very careful with this, which is sensible. The other thing that I think is about to really become a major, major topic for every organization, especially in financial services, is our governance. The governance of AI operating models and how you actually keep control of all this. For anybody who sat through the session just before, that was pretty scary, some of the things that they were talking about. It is complicated, but it's beyond traditional IT governance. This is much more complicated. How do you control citizen users using ChatGPT to synthesize the quarterly statement one day before it goes out? That's now in the public domain. How are you going to control that in your governance? How are you going to control where a large language model from an independent vendor is programmed in some third world country? That's part of your governance. That touches into your ethics policies as well. So this subject is going to be very, very big, and it's only really now we're starting to grasp this. So we know what leaders are doing. We also ask them, what are you thinking about? What separates the leaders from everybody else? And the first one is, I think the leaders have worked this first one out. Do I build all of this myself? I've got a systems integrator sitting behind me, rubbing their hands, can't wait to do this. And the more sophisticated ones have realized that's probably pretty expensive. ChatGPT 4 costs around 100 billion to program. Not even banks don't have the budgets to keep up with that kind of investment. And what we see, big organizations like NVIDIA, who are here today, Jensen says ServiceNow is the operating system of NVIDIA. And what they did is, rather than building their own language model to run NVIDIA, they said, actually, what ServiceNow do out of the box, we're going to use that and we'll put the skills on what they can't do. And that's a really important principle. The second one here is data. Data, data, data. And I'll explain why we believe we have something unique in the world of data. And impact. We all ran off when Microsoft Copilot came out and said, oh, let's do a POC, let's prove this works. But we had no idea what we were actually trying to prove. Thankfully, common sense has come back in, and we're working from a business case back to the technology. Is the problem worth solving? And if so, can we solve the problem? Rather than a technology looking for the problem. And then we get into privacy and data and governance. And it goes beyond traditional, as I said earlier, the data governance isn't just where is my data. The data governance is, where's it been? What's its fingerprint? Where has it sat in this journey in my AI architecture that I'll be developing? And the leaders have kind of got their heads around most of this. And that's what all of you, I encourage you to think about, and that's what we're helping organizations with, to think these things through and manage them. So the other thing they've all realized, and it's poetic really, is that the AI technology is only as good as the platform it's built on. The AI technology is only as good as the platform it's built on. And where we see people scrabbling to find data all over the place and then trying to build an AI technology on top of it, that is ferociously complicated, horrendously expensive, and to maintain and keep that going, we all know 85% of our budgets are spent keeping going what we've built for the last 60, 70 years. We're creating another monster if we're not careful with this. So the platform underneath it is critically important to the agility of the AI technology that you use. So, we've been doing this for a long time, like many of you in the room. I mean, I started with machine learning back in the late 90s. You wouldn't believe it, I know, in the late 90s. So we've all been doing this a while, but ServiceNow's made lots of these investments, and very quietly we bought lots of components. And when ChatGPT came out originally, nearly 2 years ago, for us it was like, this is great. We've been trying to tell everybody about this for a while. So it's been very, very good for us. And we've made more acquisitions of another European German company recently as well. So, talk a little bit about us and what makes us different, and then I'm going to explain some of the problems we're solving for our clients today, right now, with AI. You're experiencing it if you're using it, and many of you will be touching it today. So, data. ServiceNow has a unique position in data, and data is everything in AI because the quality of the data. As IT professionals, this is what we are paid to know. The quality, the protection, the security, the trust of that data is what your company is valued on. The business want to do all crazy things with workflows and change things, but the data is critically important. The AI technology together with this automation, AI and generative AI is a subset of AI, is a subset of automation. We have been automating for a very long time. This is the next iteration of automation. And bringing all those together is what we believe gives you a platform for business transformation, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. So, single data platform. For those that don't know ServiceNow, we are a platform, but we are unique in the fact that we only have one code base. We have one data set, we have your data in one place, you look after it, you manage it, we can't see it, and it's all yours. And because we have one platform, unlike other technologies, or unlike when you're trying to architect AI, we don't have lots of different systems with lots of different metadata models. We're not trying to reconcile a household versus a community versus other things. It's all very consistent. Sounds simple, but no other technology I know of on the planet today has a platform that's built on one unique code base. And when we process data, it doesn't leave our instance. So we're not worried about it disappearing off to some third party. We're not worried about, yes, we have to protect it from malicious actors, but we've been doing that ever since the formation of the company. So for us, the processing of AI is all within our own platform, all within our own data model. And that means we can develop and create very fast. We've just released our new release last week, and it was twice as big as the release we released only 16 weeks ago. It's 8 times the release we did a year ago. We're coming out with new capabilities because there's this agility faster than most of our customers can understand it. It's unbelievable. So one platform, we believe, is critically important. The second thing is then what we've done is we do not try and do, is that an apple, is that an orange, is that a cat, is that a dog, right? That's generic AI. That's AI for AI's sake. What we do is very much domain specific. We help look at management of knowledge. We help look at resolvers. We help with the customer and the employee experience. We do things very purposefully, and we stick to what we do. So we're not trying to be everything. We're trying to be a very domain-specific language model, which is why clients like to use us, because out of the box, we can deliver a lot of this functionality. Okay, and I'll show you that in a moment. The other thing we did is we decided we weren't going to build our own language model. and we decided we weren't going to use one of these ones that disappears somewhere. So we took Hugging Face and we embedded it inside our own code base. So that's why we can process all the data within our own language model. And we built it on some open source technology, and that gives us terrific agility as well. It also means that as the volumes start to scale, we can process unbelievable volumes of data incredibly quickly. And this is when AI really takes off for consumers. That's something that a lot of people are missing. Is the response times going to be what a consumer expects from this technology? And that's where we are already a long way ahead in our thinking on that one. And then finally, automation. Now Assist is a technology we have. It sits across all of our products. So we have products for HR, for IT, and for risk specifically, and for other areas. And this sits across all of them because it is all about allowing you to do really clever things. So for example, when you have knowledge in an HR help desk, an IT help desk, we can help accelerate how you build knowledge, how you create knowledge, how you share knowledge. When something happens, how quickly can the technology create knowledge articles for you to share? And the outcome being that the most junior people can be as experienced and as useful as the most experienced people in any of those functions. Our advanced customers are saying, well, hang on, if you can do knowledge for the HR and IT help desk, what about the customer help desk? What about the consumer help desk? What about the supplier help desk? What about the legal help desk? And this is where you start to get to business transformation, where we can say you have 10,000 resolvers in your business in all of those departments. Why don't you create a business just to manage all of those interactions with all of the resolvers and use one technology over all of those clunky old help desks and systems and back ends that you've got that kind of are frustrating for people today. And those are the types of things we do. And these figures that are quoted up here, 33% improvement, mean time to resolution, etc., you can read them. These are live production examples. So we have custom, and it's not just about can we get them off the phone quick enough or give them their article. You have to couple this with improvements in Net Promoter Score or EPS score, whatever measurement you've got. And I'll give you a great example of one of the Irish companies. They managed to reduce their first-line calls by 90%. They improved their deflection rate by the same 90%. And now, internally, that helped with all of the back end and the escalations and all the problems. But you know what happened? Their Net Promoter Score went up from 81 to 94%. Because a customer didn't have to sit and look through 18 articles, the technology said, I know who you are, I know what you're interested in, I know your account, I'm going to give you the one answer you want rather than the 18 answers for you to read through. And that's a practical use of this. So we're seeing terrific return on investments, live deployments within our customer base today. So I'm now going to talk, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I do want to give it a few minutes for questions. We're going to talk about some of the things that we do that are very specific to your industry. So acquiring and onboarding customers, it is difficult, right? You all have siloed systems, you've made acquisitions of other companies, you've got different ways to do it, depending on how they come on board, depending on maybe who the broker was in the first place, you've got a process to go through. And the beautiful thing we do is simplify all of that. Create a consistent methodology, a way of onboarding clients. And the faster you onboard them, right the way, if you're in the insurance industry and you're writing a quotation for life insurance and you've got to get that bound by the underwriter, accelerating and managing that process so they don't drop out provides terrific value. So this is why it is really important in your industry how we can help you with this onboarding. And it applies to employees as well, but this is specific to how you build customers on board. Frictionless servicing. Oh my God, I wish my bank was using more ServiceNow. Well, I have several banks, and the one that I mainly use that isn't frustrates the heck out of me because there is massive amounts of friction. I get inconsistent experiences. Depending on how I choose to call them, I can't email them because their technology isn't sophisticated. I mean, it's tricky, and they're a very old bank. But providing that experience for the user, for the consumer, frictionlessly, how they want to be served, where they want to be served, when they want to be served, is what we're able to do with this technology. And whether it's, a chatbot is only as good as the data, the knowledge, the information behind it, right? And that's why when we're doing something very specific in this domain and we're experts in this domain, we can really provide terrific value to clients and improve net promoter scores and get the processing time down and take the workload off your teams that are trying to do this, allowing them to solve complicated problems, not the mundane. That's what this technology can help you with. So there's a couple of examples, and then escalations. The company I mentioned in Ireland, they said we used to get 4 escalations a week that would take a team of 10 people 6 hours to solve each one, right? So massive cost. After this, they had 1 escalation a month that took 15 minutes. And he said all of that time of our more senior experienced people, we turned to looking at other problems that we didn't even know we had because we didn't have the time to even think about those. So management of that, and there's nothing worse than as a consumer, as a user, as a customer, waiting for an escalation resolution. Right? My archaic bank took 2 weeks to come up with a very simple answer to a very simple problem they'd made a mess of. So helping you with that efficiency is really important. And then we literally last Tuesday, we released our new release, Xanadu. Ours tend to follow historical cities across the world. The next one's Zurich for us Europeans. And we've built some really, really cool, clever stuff in here. Right? We are now able to do a lot of what you can read on here. The dispute resolution, we've built that with MasterCard, we've built that with Visa, so that when you are in that tricky situation, I don't recognize that transaction, oh, okay, let me process that. It's difficult. It goes to a call center. The call center have to look at the record. The record goes back to the merchant. It's difficult. Automating that with AI, improving the customer and consumer experience, using the technology to do the routine and mundane for you, is what we're now able to do in conjunction with both Visa and MasterCard. And the whole thing is out of the box. And what that means is that we don't have to spend months. One of our wonderful customers set up a program for managing the consumer engagement that from the idea, right, there's an idea, I think we want to solve. Once we'd decided what we were going to do, to get from first iteration in a pilot to production was 3 weeks in a highly regulated environment, 3 weeks to go live. So when you've got the pressure from the C-suite saying, where's our AI projects, where's our AI projects, the beautiful thing with ServiceNow is we can step right in and out of the box deliver many of these capabilities. Now, what Xanadu allows us to do is not just say, here, this is how you can manage knowledge consolidation, how you can manage case deflection, how you can manage all of these things, and there's a long list. But then, with this one, we now allow you to extend that. So we can now make this a little bit more bespoke. And we allow you to go and solve other business problems. Month-end close process is another one that we do with other clients as well. So now you have the ability to take a technology that would have been classified as embedded and build your own on top of it on one data model. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't you? But part of this is making sure everybody knows about it. So the last one I wanted to touch on in terms of capability is some of these areas. Business continuity, how do you manage all of that? Cybersecurity. We sit in the heart, really deep, at a high level of security clearance with many of the big banks for helping them with the security, because what we do as our fundamental technology is we deploy policies. We do it for the disciplines of ITIL. We do it for HR policies. We do it for risk, which I'll get to in a second, but we can also do it as a subset of risk around business continuity. What are those policies? What are the exceptions? How do we manage those? How does the AI technology help us to solve those? And then when it comes to risk, we have within our suite, our AI technology and our risk technology allows you to deploy the policies of risk across your entire business and manage by exception. So instead of just looking at certain high-level risks, tier 1 or level 1 or whatever you want to call them, we're able to look at the entire bank, every process, through the risk policies deployed and managed by us. Now come back to what I said about governance, and the governance of, is my language model hallucinating? Is my language model doing strange things? Can I get visibility into it? Our technology allows you to look into other language models, use the policies to detect where a language model is doing something very strange and allow you to manage those escalations. And then you can build an entire digital twin for the bank covering everything you do through our risk technology. So that's pretty mind-blowing, pretty mind-blowing. And if you don't follow ServiceNow, I would encourage you to do so and see what comes out in our very next release, because it's quite exciting. So the last thing I'm going to very briefly touch on, we don't do this on our own. We are not arrogant or ignorant enough to pretend that we are the only technology out there. There's lots of people out there with lots of technology. We happen to be really good buddies with a small company called Microsoft up in Seattle, and we co-develop. So in our new release and on their release, out of the box, we integrate with Copilot. So if you've got Copilot, not you seamlessly sitting within Copilot can move around within our Now Assist technology without ever leaving one screen. So if you're using that as a technology, this is terrifically valuable to be able to serve people through Copilot in and out of Now Assist and Copilot. And this integration is very important, and we work very closely with Microsoft both on a technical level and on a commercial level to help you achieve some of these goals. And then I just picked one client very briefly. I picked the London Stock Exchange because I am English, if you didn't realize. They're doing some really tremendous things here, right? They are very advanced. They're one of those leaders, I would say, in their thinking and their planning around this. And they are starting to achieve some terrific results. But they have gone through phase one. This is a continual journey. You've got to think about the rate that this technology is coming out. How do I absorb this? Because if you're planning to deploy something and it's taken you 6 months to get ready, well, you're already on a legacy version. And that's how quickly this stuff is moving forward. So that was the end of what I wanted to say to you. I've left 3 minutes just to have any questions if anybody wanted to ask anything specifically. So if you do want to ask something, put your hand up and I'll come around with the mic. Is anybody brave enough? No? Okay. Well, in that case, you have 2 minutes and 58 seconds to get a coffee, and thank you very much for your time.